So this is going to be a more serious segment, but I still think it's important to talk about, even if I'm a couple days behind on this news, since, you know, America and police brutality are a pretty big deal. You know, they go hand in hand, and this story is especially egregious, and it's got a lot of people upset, so I feel I should talk about it, and I should do my bit to educate people on the details of the story and the developments that have come out over the last couple days. So, a woman by the name of Sonya Massey, or Massey, I actually don't know how her last name is pronounced, was completely innocent, unarmed, and fatally shot in the face by a Sangamon? I don't know how it's pronounced. Sheriff. Just shot in the face by a sheriff and killed. Murdered. Now, this sheriff apparently had a history of complaints involving women. So, obviously, another police shooting, there's not much to say about it other than it's evil. What I really want to talk about, though, is what has come out in regards to the constant warning signs involving this officer, that there should have been disciplinary action taken way before this killing took place. There was plenty of warning, and yet that warning was not acted on. You should really cut the music for this? Yeah, probably. I usually keep the music on for segments where it's just me reading an article, because it's, you know, there's points where I'm just kind of like breathing or stopping to like catch my breath or read something. And yeah, maybe the music's not best for the background. True. Very true. The sheriff's deputy charged with fatally shooting Sonya Massey in the face has been the subject of several complaints alleging belligerent behavior towards women, a USA Today review of public records shows. Despite the complaints, Sangamon County Sheriff's Deputy Sean P. Grayson was never prohibited from working in law enforcement and moved from one police agency to another, the records show, calling into question how he got the job he held when Massey was shot. I need you to understand that there is a ridiculous amount of deference paid to the police when it comes to bad actions. There are so many videos. Like, I watch a lot of videos from police activity. It's I think subreddit is the original place it is, but it's a bunch of publicly available or publicly released police body cam footage of different, like, police interactions. Some of them, the cops are arguably fully in the right in how they behave, and many of them that end up going viral, they are totally in the wrong. And a lot of them oftentimes comment on how upset they are that their body cams were rolling before they did what they did. Some of them even ask, like, hey, was your body cam off? And they're like, yeah, it is. And they, like, the guy whose body cam was rolling thought his body cam was off before he did something very illegal. It's actually insane how often cops get paid leave or get, like, let go and then just get a new job, same position in another county. Like, that's really common, actually. Like, if there's, like, a local cop that does something that gets them under a lot of fire, they'll just get transferred to another department somewhere else, and they'll just pack up and move and just, like, go be a cop somewhere else, and people have forgotten about it by the time they've started their first day of work in a new town. Yep, a lot of paid administrative leave. Yeah, a lot of paid leave, paid vacation. Just here, take some time off work, fully paid until people aren't upset about it anymore, and then we'll bring you back in. The July 6th killing of Massey has sparked national outcry over police brutality, coast-to-coast demonstrations, and a federal probe by the Justice Department. The hiring practices of the Sheriff's Department have also been under fire from Illinois Governor J.P. Pritzker, who earlier this week formally called for Sangamon Sheriff Jack Campbell to resign, expressing frustration with how the sheriff has responded to Massey's death. Amid the growing pressure and questions about Grayson's hiring, Campbell said on Friday he will step down and retire. Springfield city leaders are calling for a review of the department's hiring practices in the wake of Massey's killing. I love how negligent actions and even outright, like, the killing of an innocent person when it's cops is like, I'm going to retire. I'm going to recuse myself. I'm going to accept paid vacation. It's like, you killed someone, or someone you hired murdered someone and you had full warning that they could have. They had a history of violence, right? Like, and of course, like, I will choose to retire with my honor. It's like, fuck you, dude. Sangamon County board member Kevin McGuire called an outside investigative team to look at the sheriff department's hiring practices. Quote, I would say that's paramount, McGuire said. Among the complaints against Grayson that are on file in Illinois is an allegation by a former inmate at the Logan County Jail who wrote in an official complaint filed in December 2022 that Grayson ordered her to expose herself to him. Of course, the inmate wasn't taken seriously when she made an accusation of sexual assault against a guard. Of course she wasn't taken seriously. Quote, I felt very violated, said Chelsea Lowe, an inmate confronted by Grayson in a drug search. Grayson denied the accusation and resigned from the Logan County Sheriff's Office before the complaint was formally investigated. A lot of resigning before formal investigations, then it's let go, you know? It's a lot of, like, just go in hiding for a little bit, and there won't really be any consequences if you wait long enough, you know? Maybe you'll even be paid while you're in hiding and not working. It's like literally a paid vacation is oftentimes the worst case scenario for these people. Maybe retirement and, like, moving to a new office, new place. With investigators no longer pursuing the complaint, Grayson in May 2023 joined the Sangamon Sheriff's Office, where he was employed when he went to Massey's home and shot the 36-year-old mother of two in her kitchen last month. To be very, very clear, this was like a murder in her home. I think I saw... Did this actually end up being caught on body cam? Because I might have seen the body cam footage of this on police activity before it came out. The woman who was shot, like, in the face in her kitchen, that could have been a completely different case. That is how common this is. Like, I wish I could show you guys the police activity subreddit and show you how many instances of viral police brutality and misconduct are just there to see, but so many of them are just a cop killing an innocent unarmed person or people committing suicide by cop. I can't show it to you. I can't show it to you. He just went there and murdered her. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't even think he was on duty. Yeah, it's not even body cam because he wasn't on duty. I think he was just off duty, went to her house, murdered her, shot her in the face. He had a history of violence against women, of course. So it's not a surprise. We know the stats of, we know the cop stats. We know the cop stats. 40 whatever percent, I think, of cops, like, beat their wives, something like that. Anyway, the ex-deputy also faced accusations from his former wife in divorce proceedings that he treated her with repeated acts of mental cruelty. A separate citizen complaint about Grayson in May alleged that he unlawfully tried to intimidate a 17-year-old girl while trying to enter a house without having obtained a warrant, yelling at her and threatening to put her in cuffs if she didn't let him inside. The complaint was found not sustained by one of Grayson's fellow officers. For the record, by the way, the cops cannot go into your house or your property if they don't have a warrant. If they're knocking on your door, it doesn't matter how scary they sound. They have to go talk to a judge, get a warrant like a week later, and then come back with the legal authority to kick down the door and search your place, right? So what he was doing was illegal, and he was, like, threatening a minor into doing something that's against her constitutional rights, trying to trick her into thinking she doesn't have the constitutional right to keep her house from being searched at the whims of a police officer without a warrant. There are exceptions, of course. If somebody calls in, like, a imminent violent call, the police can, like, bust down the door, I believe, but there's very few exceptions, and this was not one of them. USA Today's review of public records about Grayson's years in law enforcement and from his personal life comes amid national outrage and calls for police reform over the killing of the black woman on July 6th. Grayson's criminal history also show he had did I even mention that she was black? I feel like it goes without saying, because, like, 99.9% of the time it feels like this police brutality that cops are doing is against, like, murdering an innocent unarmed black person, but yeah, she was black, of course. That is why he thought he could get away with this, obviously. Grayson's criminal history also shows he had 2 DUIs and a questionable discharge from the military. Questionable discharge from the military. Ooh, that was the first and biggest red flag. Maybe not the biggest, but the first red flag. The sheriff's office and an attorney for Grayson did not respond to repeated requests for comment on this story. Oh, wait, no, I did see the video. No, I saw this video before it even went viral on police activity. Yep. It's censored, but this is, I believe, he's the one whose body cam is recording. No, I think this is the sheriff who shot her, and that's her on the floor of the kitchen. Yeah, I saw this on police activity before it even hit the level of virality that now has spurned protests. That's wild that I'd already seen this. Yeah, very disturbing video. Don't watch it, guys. Don't watch it. Highly recommend you don't watch it. Feeling very afraid. Grayson worked as a sheriff deputy in Logan County, north of Springfield, from May 2022 to the end of April 2023, according to Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board's records. Part of his duties included working at the Logan County Jail, where in December 2022, a female inmate filed a grievance accusing Grayson of very inappropriate behavior, according to a county disciplinary file obtained via open records request. Lowe wrote in her Logan County Sheriff's Department grievance form that during the course of being arrested, she told officers she had drugs hidden in her vagina. Grayson told her to remove the drugs in front of him, according to the complaint. Quote, I went to do as he instructed, feeling very afraid and forced to do such an action, she wrote. She stopped at the insistence of a female officer and was taken to a doctor to remove the drugs. While in the hospital bed completely exposed, Officer Grayson flung the curtain back and exposed me to him, and I believe 2 other male officers, Lowe wrote. Quote, I felt very violated on both occasions and was unsure how to handle this, she said. Lowe could not be reached for comment. This is one of those really fucked up situations where there are women who are in very, very vulnerable positions and are sexually abused, but because they are currently seen as, like, criminal filth, they aren't taken seriously when they make these allegations against people who are perceived as upstanding holders of power, right? It's very similar to, like, a child who is, like, known for having, like, for being gay in, like, a really hyper-evangelical church community, getting molested by a pastor and making the accusation publicly, and the church responding with, well, you all know, you know, what that kid is into and the demons that kid's fighting with. You can't take seriously anything he says about our beloved pillar of the community, right? It's kind of like that, where someone with a lot of power did something bad to someone who has less power but is also biased against already. And so the sexual abuse against them is not only gotten away with, but they're attacked for daring to come out about it, right? It's a big reason why Me Too had to exist, right? Like, Me Too needed to happen because of that dynamic. Divorce over extreme and repeated acts of mental cruelty. In June 2015, Grayson's wife, Alexia Grayson, now Alexia K. Pitchford, filed a petition for a dissolution of marriage in the Circuit Court of Macoupin County, the same county where Grayson grew up and briefly became a police officer for 7 months in 2021. Pritchford gave the following reason for seeking a divorce from Grayson. Quote, the defendant has been guilty of extreme and repeated acts of mental cruelty without cause or provocation. Pitchford and Pitchford's mother did not respond to requests for comment on the nature of the cruelty referenced in the divorce papers. The two did not have any children together, according to the court filings. The judge awarded Grayson's wife the right to return to her former name of Pitchford. The first of Grayson's 2 DUIs came 2 months later in August, according to Macoupin County court records. He got his second DUI in July 2016. What a shithead, dude. What an actual shithead. Conduct as a Sangamon County deputy. So this is the job that he was working when he murdered her. Conduct as anyway. The most recent complaint against Grayson's conduct as a deputy came in May, less than 2 months before he shot Massey in her kitchen, according to his Sangamon County Sheriff's Office personnel file. Grayson was the only officer named in the complaint, which describes a group of officers attempting to enter a residence without a warrant. Quote, we were provided no details of what was happening or why they were asking/demanding to be let in, according to the man who filed the complaint. He and a 17-year-old girl answered the door when the officers arrived. Grayson began yelling at the teenage girl to be let inside, according to the complaint. Officer Grayson then wrongfully accused her of lying and obstructing an investigation. He then threatened her that if she didn't let them in the house, he was going to put her in cuffs and she would go to jail. The complaint wrote that Grayson directed his comments towards the teenage girl, not him. Quote, "It is 100% unlawful to threaten detainment and being arrested for not letting officers into the home with no warrant," the complaint wrote. Quote, "More specifically, attacking a 17-year-old girl and failing to contact adult supervisors or parents of any kind. At the time of demanding to be let in, Officer Grayson chose to speak to the young girl in an inappropriate manner, attempting to intimidate her." Lieutenant Wes Wooden of the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office carried out an informal review of the complaint and found his fellow officers' actions were warranted and the complaint was not sustained according to county records. Wooden is the same county officer who led the investigation into Grayson's background when he was first hired at the Sangamon Sheriff's Office. The office did not respond to requests for comment from Wooden. Complaints against law enforcement officers are typically investigated by other officers and are seldom sustained, said Samuel Senyengwe, interesting name, executive director of Mapping Police Violence, a nonprofit that tracks policing data. It's uncommon for an officer with 20 or 30 complaints against them to remain on the force, he said. Holy crap. It is not uncommon for an officer with 20 or 30 complaints against them to remain on the force. 20 or 30 complaints. That's, like, almost beyond parody. Like, I would exaggerate that you've got, like, 30 slaps in the wrist before you get paid vacation when it comes to police brutality. Like, I would joke about that, thinking I'm exaggerating. But apparently it's not even close to an exaggeration. It's like the number you would think of off the top of your head as an exaggerated number is the real number. 20 to 30 complaints of police misconduct overlooked on average for many police officers. Holy crap, dude. Massey shooting. 2 months later, Grayson and another deputy arrived at Massey's home after the 36-year-old woman called 911 about a possible intruder. Massey's call for help in the early... Oh, yeah, she'd called the police. He was on duty. Yeah, okay. I had thought that, like, this was a different story, but I'd seen the police activity video. She called the cops, thought somebody was on her property. They came, and, like, in many situations, it ends up being the innocent... oftentimes person of color who called the police in the first place that gets the hard time from the cops. This doesn't even extend just to, like, killings, by the way. How many times have you dealt with cops because you called them because you needed help, or someone you know of called the police because they needed help with the police and the cops gave them a hard time? Like, there was a bad person involved that needed to be given a hard time by the cops, and so they called the cops because they needed them, and the cops gave them the hard time. That is absurdly common. Massey's call for help in the early hours of July 6 brought the diminutive woman and the 6'4" officer with a history of violence toward women together. Body-worn camera footage from the encounter released on July 22nd shows the hulking son of a Navy SEAL had little patience for the diminutive woman right from the start. Quote, "You coming to the door or not?" Grayson yells, hammering at the door. "Hurry up." Inside Massey's kitchen, Grayson told her to remove a pot of boiling water from the stove. Yep. Yeah. The argument was that, like, what if she threw the pot of boiling water on him? But I think she, like, kind of walks towards him a little in the video. But there's a whole island between them. Like, you know those bar island things? In the, like, if I remember correctly, there's, like, a whole island between them, and she's, like, he tells her, take that off the stove and turn off the stove, and she does, and she, like, motions a little in his direction, because it's her kitchen, and she's putting it down where she probably usually would put it down, and his response was just pulls out his gun, unloads on her face, just shoots her right in the fucking face. And there's an island between them. I guess she could have tossed it on him, but, like, there were two cops. Like... yeah. I guess maybe he thought he could get away with it if he made it look like a suicide by cop, maybe. Those are really common. with those police body cam videos that come out. And if you frame it the right way, maybe you can make it look like that. I think that's what they were going to try to argue in their defense. Police are not your friends. They are there to do their job and to enforce society's rules. If they fail, then there must be severe consequences. True. Definitely remember that police are not your friends thing when it comes to dealing with the police, by the way. Doesn't matter how innocent you are. The cops aren't your friends. Dropping his hand to his gun, Grayson shouted back, "You better fucking not, or I swear to God I will shoot you right in the fucking face," according to a transcript of the encounter. Grayson drew his gun. Massey apologized and then ducked. Grayson moved toward her and fired 3 times, hitting her in the head. All because she went to take the boiling pot off the stove. So fucked up. So fucked up. It's ironic since there might be cops watching Zan. I mean, I know that like, at least a couple of people that watch me are ex-cops or currently cops. Not a lot of current cops, but a few ex-cops, mostly ex-cops. But there are some individual good people who are police officers. But when we say ACAB, we don't mean every individual cop is bad. We mean that the institution of police is flawed and bad, and that every cop is currently, what's the word for it? Complicit in its injustice, right? So that's the end of the article, and I really wanted to go over it because it highlights how much misconduct up until these boiling over points are looked over in police before it gets this bad. The next big police shooting, that cop that does it, or that's going to do it, is currently, right now, continuing his job despite countless complaints about police misconduct and brutality. He's out there right now, and all the red flags are there to warn you of what he's going to do, and he's still out there. The cop that will be the next piece of shit that murders an innocent, unarmed black person. It's always either it's always a POC person, a person of color, but it's usually a black person. For some reason, cops just feel like their lives are in imminent danger the second they see, like, any amount of melanin. It's like, holy shit, oh my god, oh! They're fucking terrified, man. It's like, they're allergic to melanin. Fuck, dude. They get so scared. Does the officer Tatum hate watch you? He's been in Hunter's chat a few times. I don't know if he does or not. Probably not. If he does, then he can suck on my nuts. And I feel like that's a good place to wrap this segment up. Anyway, if you enjoy my content, consider dropping a like, no matter when, where, or what you're watching from me. It really does help a lot. Every thumbs up pushes my content in the algorithm out to more people. It increases all my numbers, and it really does mean a ton. So no matter who you are, where you're watching, or when you're watching, hit that like button. Thank you. And of course, consider following my social medias linked down below in the description, subscribe ring the bell icon, comment down below as well, and of course, don't forget to join my fan Discord. It's totally free. And the link is down below. I host game events, call-in streams, and watch parties there, and announce all my new uploads and streams as well, so you won't miss anything if you're already a member of my Discord. And of course, please consider following my socials down below, like I said. I'm not going to call for donos, because it feels a lot less, I don't know, it just feels wrong to call for donos after I talk about something that's that grim, you know? That's just sort of a me thing, but, yeah. You can if you want, but I'm not going to tell you how. You'll have to figure that out on your own. Anyway, thank you for watching. As always, thank you for your support, and have a good one.